the light on. I have to do the honors.
The honors. Hello, Sunday, October 8th, 8:52 p.m., The Bad Podcast. I'm Drew.
And I'm Brett.
And we have an awesome guest here today.
Brian Barry.
My fucking dude.
Yeah, we're here.
We're here. We finally got a podcast. You're finally on.
Hell yeah.
First episode.
Third episode.
First.
Fourth.
Fifth.
Fifth. It is the fifth. It's funny because my camera's usually here, so I looked up during the intro to be like, hi, I'm Brett. There's nothing there.
Ah, shit.
Time to break bread for you guys.
Yeah. Start up the incense.
The ritual.
So what has been the hardest part starting this up besides getting the technology together?
Dude, we just have tech it's all in after production. Post production rather.
I like after production.
After production. After we're totally done.
After work. Some call it homework.
No, but we've hit a lot of hurdles here, and we just take them in stride. They might break a lot of people.
Dude, you also have time on the Bridgewater radio show, right, or something like that?
Yeah.
There you go.
Dude, that was nice.
Do you know somebody who works there or something?
Mia Sarkeesian,
Yeah.
Shout out.
She's probably listening.
Yeah.
She probably is, dude. She listens to all of them.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, mainly tech difficulties, especially it's just frustrating because you plan to do something and you're like, all right, this should take about 2 hours. And you end up being in the same spot like 12 hours later and you're just like, I haven't done a single thing yet. I've just been dealing with these minor difficulties, but they just are basically huge roadblocks.
Yeah, you'll learn in time, dude.
Dude, last week we spent Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday getting that Chris episode out. It was just Sunday and Monday were a wash.
Just editing?
8-hour work, and we didn't get a thing done. I don't even remember what the technical difficulty was, but...
Yeah, I have no idea.
It was converting the clips or something.
Yeah, it was actually... it was syncing up the multicam footage. So trying to get the audio to automatically sync up with the video, and nothing was working right. We all got our bucket hats on.
Yup, it's the funky hat episode. Yeah.
Just out of the blue decided to do this.
We all got boonie hats.
Dennis Beaches.
National Guard, fuck yeah.
DVD.
Yeah.
Yours is on backwards, buddy.
Keep it on sideways.
He's a Vietnam vet.
So Brian, you go to a different university than all of the other guests we've had so far.
I do. I go to Westfield State. I'm about to graduate after this semester. One more left. 4 classes, so it's pretty relaxed so far. Living with 3 other guys this semester too, which has been fun. But for the most part, it's pretty straightforward. Just trying to get out of there and see where life takes me in the next couple of years.
Do you see yourself as sticking around Westfield? You've definitely become well acquainted with the area.
Yeah, I like Western Massachusetts, but I think that thank you. I think that the next couple of years I'm going to be bouncing around and hopefully going out west again, and hopefully maybe even going to another country and working and doing some research before I set my eyes on graduate school. But just trying to be young, these jobs, I was talking about earlier, these jobs of being a guide somewhere or just doing odd jobs here and there, you gain experience that way, and it's a type of experience that many people don't. They rush right into graduate school or something like that, and they force themselves into a career path, and I'm not trying to do that right now. I'm trying to be 22 years old and young and live life to the edge,
Absolutely. Dude, we've been going to school so long. Think about it. We've been in school our whole lives.
Everything you know has revolved around some sort of education.
I personally need to come out and reprioritize and just because right now I'm just I'm not drifting. I still work for school, but there's not that fire that there should be with going to get upper level education.
That's why I took a semester off. It's just I needed a break. I needed to get away for a little while because being in school for most of your life, you have no idea what it's like outside.
Yep.
It's wild, yeah.
I'm sure it makes you appreciate being in school more.
Yeah, and with my withdrawal form I attached a readmission form, so I knew I was coming right back in. Chris was the same way, even though all our friends were kind of skeptical if Chris was going to come back or not, but he ended up coming back, and yeah, now we're just finishing up.
Tell us about that trip you took.
Jeez, so my roommate Chris and I, shout out Chris, we took a semester off, our second semester of junior year, and we decided to take a little trip. We ended up spending 4.5 months on the road. We spent a lot of time in Colorado, California, the Southwest, like Utah and all there. We developed a lot of good relationships and friendships, and I mean, hopefully that's when I graduate, they can still hold me down, and we can potentially live together again. But yeah, it was worthwhile. I needed a breakaway.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, coming from the outside, you were a different person going in and coming out.
Really?
Totally, dude.
Yeah.
Not total. Obviously, you're still Brian, but like, you were just much more like the bullshit didn't get to you. Like you saw through more things, and you were just like, I don't know. You more picked your problems.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe, man, maybe. I learned a lot, dude. Like I said, like those street experiences, and those are what I'm trying to gain in the
It's
next
like
couple
common
of
sense,
years.
dude.
Yeah, just getting people to trust you, and
Street smarts.
yeah, and that street smarts involves like having a deep understanding of how to like gain trust from people, how to work with people, how to empathize with people, and that goes a long way. And like the next couple of years and this trip that I just went on involved that, as just developing myself and losing some ego,
What's your formula for gaining somebody's trust?
What? I mean, you have to know who they are. I don't know. That's a fucking fucked up question.
Huge question.
Fucked up question.
So, Brian, how do you decide who to and not to trust on a daily basis?
I feel like the answer is to trust.
It's just like, I usually, when I meet somebody, I like kind of submit to them at first, and I hear them out and try not to. I just observe them and try to ask them pointing questions. I don't know. Just hear them out, and try to find common ground. It's kind of cliche, but that's kind of how it goes.
No, but a lot of people don't even like listen. Like they meet someone else and they're like, I want to tell you my whole life story.
Right. Exactly.
It's not like, what's this dude want to talk about?
Right. Yeah.
And like when you actually listen, you can ask that question that the person's been waiting to hear. And all of a sudden they're like, wait, what? Like, you want to hear about that? And it's like, yeah, I'm interested.
Right. Do you guys see yourselves doing like a trip in the next couple of years, or when you graduate?
Undoubtedly.
I personally need one.
You have a year left of school, right? A full year?
Yeah. Yep. It's a very easy year. Like next semester I have 2 classes.
Yeah.
Although it's Calc 3 and Metaphysics. So
Fuck.
it's the hardest class. It's like, it's all come to this.
Yeah.
Dr. Pearson.
At least you have only 2 classes to focus on.
That's just it. The hard classes, I'll like totally just have the mind space to just kill them. Like Dr. Pearson, he was my symbolic logic professor. Dude, that man's classes are so insanely difficult.
Yeah.
It just shows you like he just shits on America's like schooling system. Like he's like, oh, you guys don't even learn grammar anymore. Like, and it's just like, wow, he's right. Like, it's a whole new level of schooling.
Yeah.
Just gonna swap your camera so we can see it.
No worries.
Drew, what's your plan the next like year after you graduate?
Big question mark, man. I've been thinking of grad school. I have like a job lined up where if I wanted to, I could get a grad assistant job and just stay at Bridgewater for those 2 years, get my grad degree. But at the same time, like Brett said, I kind of want to take a year off and refocus. I can't picture diving into another 2 years of school after I graduate with my undergrad. I don't know. I do want to take a trip. I would like to take a trip. And I think if I were to take a break in between undergrad and grad school, it would be with like a nice road trip like that. That was something funny too when you were saying going out west. I feel like there's a lot of people in our friend group that have the desire to go out west.
Dude, it's this voyeuristic spirit. It's like everyone who's in like the West, it's like just keep going west. Like it's just though like I don't know, it's some like search.
You get it when you're out there though. Like you understand why people want to go west, because once you're submerged in that culture, people like live differently, man. People have passions. Like you meet girls out there and they're not just like they have passions for rafting or mountain biking. Like they're like well-rounded human beings. They understand how to be friendly and like common courtesies and stuff like that. And when you're out here, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to generalize everybody on the East or the West, but when you're out here and you ask a girl like, what do you do? Like, what do you do for fun? A lot of the times they're shallow answers, like you can't really connect with them on a deep level.
Yeah, I feel like that's a lot of the people around here. Not even just like a deep level, but I feel like it's just a colder environment. Not like, I mean, also in temperature, but like there's just like a general, I don't know, like apathy here. Like I feel like there's a lot of anger and traffic. Like you drive around in Massachusetts, people are just like flipping each other off, like honking on the horns. And like when we went up to Maine, totally different.
That's out there too, though. That's everywhere. LA is the same way. Like, San
You're out
Diego.
of frame, Drew.
I'll move in.
Beautiful. I think that it's something to do with like just how much we're inside around here. Like even though it's beautiful, like especially the South Shore, there's just nothing to do.
Like the spot between Boston and the Cape is just like a shithole, man.
Like just flat, like, boring. This Blue Hills are just like 300 feet, like 200 steps, and you're up it.
I know. Blue Hills, man.
Dude, you know I actually like I was in my sandals, my running sandals, and I ran up it one day, and I was at the top, and all of a sudden, dude, a rattlesnake was right in front of me, and I was basically barefoot. I had sandals on, and I was like, holy shit, like it's real out here. My cell phone is in the car, like
At Blue Hills?
yeah,
Yeah. Our
Dude, a
professor told us
rattlesnake.
that they stalked rattlesnakes at Blue Hills.
Why?
I know. Right? I don't know.
Fun weekend activity.
They just wanted to like regulate a
Yeah, no, I
population
getcha.
there. That's it.
It is funny though how we as humans we're like, let's put these killers
I
back
know.
in the environment.
I know. There's this little place called the Quabbin Reservoir near Westfield, and they wanted to make like a little rattlesnake sanctuary on this little island. And there was this town vote, and everyone said they didn't want it, but the scientists and all like the wildlife managers were like, no, like there's no way. Their range is like so far, and you live so much farther away. There's no way, and everyone still voted no. So
Like, vote for rattlesnakes. Do you want rattlesnakes in your area?
Yes.
Please. I want to watch my foot with every step.
I just picture like some old white dude at the booth, like my tax dollars. Like,
Going to baby rattlesnakes.
but how's like nightlife here in your senior year? Do you see your friend group like expanding a lot this year?
oh,
Not
so
really
much.
expanding, dude. But it's driving deeper. Oh, no, we have met a
It's
lot of
both,
new
I
people.
feel.
But
Yeah.
we're also like really getting to know a lot of the people who we've known for this whole time.
Yeah. You guys throwing down here at all, or because last year this house was kind of like a party house, wasn't it?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah, we kind of edge on the side of caution there because of that. Like we don't want to be the next house in the newspaper where like 40 people get arrested. Like we have friends over, but like when I want to go party, I'd rather just like rally a group here and then go hit the streets and go to like a friend's house or something. You know, that way we don't have to even worry about hosting it.
Right. Yeah, our house is. I'm living with 4 other dudes, and we had our first party the other day. And I mean, last year you guys were both at my house. I'm pretty sure we lived above our landlords, so we weren't able to really do much. But this year, our roommates were used to throwing parties, so we all talked together, and we were like, yeah, let's do it. And by 10:30, like the cops were there, and
Oh,
it was that
that type of night.
type of night. Yeah.
Yeah.
The thin blue line.
And then the cops, we were the following night, like Saturday night, we were watching a movie in our house, and 2 people were sleeping in the living room where we were watching the movie, and then flashlights started shining on our ceiling, and we were kind of like, is that lightning? And we look outside, and it's police, and they were telling us to come outside. We walk outside, and he's like, yeah, how many people do you have in there? And we're like watching fucking like
Planet
No
Earth.
Country for Old Men. Like, what are you talking about? And he was like, no, like you're bullshitting. How many people do you have in there? And we're like, dude, we promise you, we don't have shit. And he was like, all right, like keep it down. Like we can hear you from down the street. And we were like, dude,
Down the street.
yeah. The guys, everyone, we live in a residential area, so everyone around us like doesn't fuck with us at all. But we're
Right.
trying to reach out, and like if we see them outside, we walk up to them and be like, hey, call us if you need anything. If we're trying to reason with you, so if we're loud, like call us before the police, if you don't mind. That type of shit.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same level here. I mean, I've met all of the neighbors around here at this point, and they've all been nothing but kind. I mean, the people across the street, there was one time we had like a little get together, and I was going to work the next morning, and she was like, oh, you have a little party last night? And I just asked her, I was like, oh, sorry, were we too loud? She was like, no, not at all. Listen, you don't have to worry about us at all. Like, we've never heard a peep from you guys, and even if we did, like, there's no way we would ever call the cops on you. That would just be a dick move.
Right.
So it was really cool to like level with them on that front. And then the neighbors on the side, super cool, keep to themselves, as well as the lady on the other side of us. She seems like a really zen old lady. You know?
Yeah, she's got like that.
She's
Zen
got like the
garden
Zen
out
garden.
back,
She
dude.
goes out and meditates. She's really cool. One time I was actually working out in the backyard. I was on the rings, and she just came in and like parked her car, and she like walked up to us, and she was like, "Oh, right about now, all the anti-pot people will be at the town hall voting like something to try to ban it in Bridgewater." And I was like, "What? Really?" She was like, "Yeah. There's a couple people who are crybabies about weed being legalized, and they might like try to strike it down, but like I'm on the committee that's trying to like push for it, so there's no way they'll pass it."
That's cool.
And I was just like, "Wow, you're really cool."
I didn't know a town could override a state. Like I knew state could override federal, but I didn't know it went all the way down.
Yeah.
Do you say that more cops are on campus than there are for the actual city of Bridgewater?
I don't know that statistic, but I presume that's pretty in line.
I think there's definitely more per like square foot. Like I see tons of cops. I see tons of cops on campus, and I rarely see them. Excuse me. I rarely see them around here, except for when they're like flying down the street with their lights on.
Dude, they do. They fly.
I
That's
mean,
like the most dangerous thing on campus is getting hit with like
twice.
some cop like
Twice. I've had close calls.
Yo, didn't you tell me a story of some cop? You were like crossing a sidewalk or something?
Yeah, dude, I was literally crossing to go to the gym, and I was just like walking, had my headphones on, and all of a sudden to my right, up the hill, the cop just turns his lights on, and I'm just like, I just looked to my side, and like I was just like taken aback for a minute, a little shocked, so I just like froze, and I was like, he's coming right for me, and then I like just like powered to the other side, and he just like whipped off onto the side and just gets out. Dude, it was Tepper, name drop, and he was like,
Shout out Tepper.
yeah, it's Drew's rival.
Did he search your house or something?
He searched my dorm sophomore year.
Gotcha.
For literally no reason. Actually, I allowed him to search it. He asked
Yeah,
permission.
you told me that.
And I was just like, yeah, sure, go ahead. Like, whatever, I'll help you out if I can. And went inside, was like, he had this like nice guy act on the whole time. And he just needed me to sign some papers for him to search the room. And as soon as the pen hit the paper, he like, the switch just flipped. And he was like, all right, now I'm an occupying force of this room. And I'm going to treat you like shit. He was ruthless, dude. For 2 hours, he was like, he was questioning me. He pulled us all in different rooms, and he was just asking us all the same questions. And I wasn't letting him search through my safe, which he was really offended by. I mean, I won't go through the whole story because it's super long. I'm sure at one point on this podcast we'll get into it. But it basically, he's just like, why don't you let me go through your safe? And I was like, I don't know. I just don't like the thought of random people going through my things. And I was like, don't you have that element of privacy in your life? He was like, not at all. I have nothing to hide.
Fuck you.
Also, that's like a weird question. That I think it's like a funny question that he comes up and asks you at your house, like, how many people do you have here? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like the answer to that question would be none of your concern.
Yeah, like
You know?
like that night that we got busted at 10:30, there was this cop and he was super reasonable and he was like probably around 30 years old, and he was like, "Listen, man, if I wasn't on the job, like I'd be at this party right now. Trust me, like I'm not trying to be here and bust your balls." And we're like, dude, that's cool. And then he started to walk away. He was like, "Just keep it down." And we were like, cool. And then the lieutenant walked up the driveway at the same time, and he was like, "All right, guys, how many people you have here?" And we were like, dude, everyone's leaving. Like, there's 40, 50 people. And he was like, yeah. And he was like, well, let's go take a look. And he starts to walk inside. And Chris and I get in front of him. We're like, dude, you're not going in our house right now. What do you think? And he's like, no? Oh, well, everyone out then. He's like, everybody out. He's like, and we were like, really, man? And he busted us. And then at the end of the night, like, we kind of talked to him, and he was teaching us something. He kept saying, like, I'm here to educate you. And we started like talking to him and saying, like, what if you, Chris was like, would you let you in your house? Like, if you were like this badass cop, like,
yes.
you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, reason with us. Like, we don't want you in our house. You know that.
He's got nothing to
I'm
hide.
trying to
Yeah.
educate you. It's like, sorry,
Yeah.
I don't recall registering for this class.
Just bullshit. Dude. Just fucking bullshit.
Dude,
Yeah.
they just get the go ahead to just do whatever they want.
Yeah.
I mean, to an extent. Like,
Well, they give themselves the go ahead by like implying it with you, like where he's like, all right, let's go in. Like he's saying let's go in because he's like waiting for you to be like, okay, because he can't, like, he's like a vampire or something, like you can't go in unless invited. But they won't tell you that. It's just so weird where like, oh, you're not coming in my house, and he's like, oh really? All right, we'll kick everyone out. Because then, I mean, it's so weird because you don't know how you react in the moment because there's a lot of pressure on you.
Right. Same
like
thing with the podcast.
really what you should be doing at that point is you're like, okay, no to the first question of going in, and also no to kicking everyone out because this is my home. Like,
but if there's a noise complaint, like they can legally do that, I think. And he told us that if there's a noise complaint and they warn us or whatever, and then there's another noise complaint about the music or whatever, they have the right to seize your stereo system. They can take your shit out of your house straight
my
up.
Bose.
And they're probably not gentle either. The bass.
It's all about that bass.
It's so weird, dude. It's like, I don't know. It's a gross like feeling to think about someone just because they have the uniform on, just with no probable cause, just being like, all right, I'm coming in.
Right.
You know?
It's weird, man.
There's something about leveling with cops too, though.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Where like even when you know that you don't have to do something, like how you said you let them search your room.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I got nothing to hide. Like I'll comply with you because.
Yeah, that's the thing. I never, like, right off the bat, I'm always super polite to cops because I know at the end of the day they're just doing their job. And like if they get called to a house, they have to go there and they have to at least put some iota of effort into, investigating the situation. So like, I'm gonna let them do what they have to do. It's when I just don't like when they have that like that stereotypical attitude, which not even a majority of them have, because probably 75% of the cops that I've met on campus have been super nice, super respectful, and they actually, you can tell they care about the safety of the students and they really just want to make it like a better environment, but they just get completely overshadowed by the small number of cops that just get off on like ruining someone's day. So it kind of gives them a bad name.
It's crazy how if you do have a party of like 50 plus people and they catch somebody who's not 21 coming out the door, how liable you are for all that stuff. And he was threatening to he was like, I could arrest you right now if I want to. He's like, we just busted some kid. We made him dump all his beers out. And we were trying to reason with him like, dude, there's no way we can ID everybody at the door. Like, and he was like, oh, yes, you can. Yes, you can. And like, he's kind of right. Like, But realistically, you're not going to do that. And people come, we invite our friends, and with them, they invite their friends who aren't 21 necessarily. So it's impossible to regulate that type of shit.
What are you going to stop people at your house party? Like ID?
Yeah, because like, what do you expect, man? Like, you want us to kick everyone out who's 21? It's not going to happen.
That's the thing too, is when when this house got busted 2 years back, they said the reason for their entry was because they visually ID'd underage drinkers in the house when they looked through the window. So basically what they're saying is like they looked inside and could tell that they were underage drinkers, but
that's bullshit.
Obviously they didn't ID anyone. They just I don't even understand how that flies on paper. Like,
dude, place was there was going to be no fighting.
No.
At them entering this place though. This place threw down and threw down and threw down and threw down. And they kept bopping it.
This place?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I hope we're not on their radar anymore. There was one point where we had someone try to break into the house while we were living here, and we called the cops on them. And they just totally like brushed us aside and disregarded it. They were like, oh, you guys are just misunderstanding. He's trying to, get into your house and hang out. Like, he's hanging out with you. Like, he just wants to go to your party. And we were like, no, because the lights were out and everyone left and he still tried to break in. So I feel like there's no misunderstanding. But that's the thing, like, as a college student living in a town, and especially living in a neighborhood surrounded by, I guess you would say, like, actual adults or like townies, there's just this, I don't know, they don't take you seriously. They really don't. And a lot of the townies just hate the students here. They hate all the college kids.
What are we going to do, though? Like, the school pushes us right off campus.
That's the problem.
Like, it's like nothing, no fun, no anything. Like, stay out. And then so everyone moves off campus, and then it goes into the neighborhoods. And then all of a sudden kids are walking to and from house parties, and they're peeing in people's backyards. And like, the town people get pissed at it, but they also don't want kids drinking on campus. So like, you can't have it both ways.
Well, the thing is, like, the university isn't really concerned much with what goes on in the surrounding town, because I feel like what they're just worried about is getting their arrest numbers down on campus and getting their alcohol violation numbers down, because then they're just like, oh, we had this many less arrests this year, like, where the numbers going down, there's less crime. But that's not necessarily true. They're just pushing it into the surrounding area, and it's just like, it's getting worse and worse. I feel like if they allowed some sort of drinking for people of age on campus where the cops are still out in force, but their job is not to arrest you for alcohol, just to make sure that you're not taking advantage, like you're not abusing it, and you're not putting yourself in a dangerous situation. Yeah, literally. And that's the thing too, is when you put this like blanket over drinking in college and say like, oh, this is a dry campus, people don't drink here. That's bullshit. You can't just say it's a dry campus and therefore students won't drink. People are still going to drink, but now it's against the rules. So they're going to be less likely to call an ambulance if someone's having alcohol poisoning because they don't want to get them in trouble.
Very true.
Even if there's that law that if you're calling to report something that's a medical emergency where they say no one's liable for, I don't know, it's like this weird thing where if you call for the safety of someone else, I feel like you're basically just removed from trouble. But even at that point, I feel like people are going to be more hesitant than if it was just allowed.
Yeah, instead, like if you call, instead of like being like, oh, this kid's like not doing well, I'm going to stay here and watch over him. Now you're like, I'm going to call and I'm going to get out of here because I can't deal with these people, because then all of a sudden now I'm at like somehow like they suspect me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alcohol in college is weird, man. There's so many liabilities.
Dude, kids take it too far though at the same time. I really think it all stems around like parental education. Like in my house, like I'm not going to say my mom pushed alcohol, but it's like, oh, you want like a sip of wine? Like, go ahead. Like, it's not like this, like, no.
Just cultural tolerance too. Like we start to drink at like junior, senior of high school, and if you don't, it's probably freshman, sophomore year of college, you know? And you're exposed to it, and that's like the peak of when most kids do their drinking. So people just go fucking crazy, dude. Like, you know how many freshman girls I've seen like just obliterated, like dangerously obliterated.
Dude, dangerous.
Yeah, and it makes sense because if it happens on campus, it's probably the college is probably liable for some of that. You know, I don't know the logistics behind it, but it makes sense that they would be super strict. But there's some reasoning that has to be done for sure.
Yeah, I feel like that's the thing. Like I had my parents were always very strict when it came to stuff like that, but then around my junior year of high school, they really dramatically let up and kind of just let me have my freedom. So yeah, I made the same mistakes that everyone probably does when they first start drinking, but they were so much smaller in scale than what could happen here if you just come in as like never having that freedom, and all of a sudden, boom, you have that independence and you can just do whatever you want.
And it's like you get that little dopamine shot because mom and dad always said no, and now they ain't here. And you can do whatever you want, and it's naughty, and it feels so much better now.
Oh,
Yeah, like forbidden fruit.
Personally, I've never blacked out because like I just don't see that's not what drinking is to me. Like drinking is like this. Like we sit here, we talk, we have a couple beers, like eat some food, whatever. It's like you can drink with dinner. It's not like, oh, I only drink to get fucked up.
Yeah.
Like I only drink to have fun, to loosen up.
A lot of people do.
Right, yeah.
And that's an unhealthy relationship with a substance.
Yeah. It was weird. So last night I was telling you guys about that woman who asked me to smoke like late in her car, you know what I'm saying? And it was like this big like conspiracy to go around like my family and like go undercover and smoke with her. But I don't usually do that. I usually smoke normally in my house, like before the gym or something like that. I'll just like puff on something. And it was so weird to like treat the drug like it was illegal again, you know, like to go around. That was strange. That was super strange.
It's fun though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It really is.
Yeah, it used to be fun to have to
that's
go through all that.
Social manipulation.
Yeah, I feel like people aren't gonna understand. Like don't get me wrong. I don't think the positives do not outweigh the negatives of prohibition on weed. But there was a really fun element of like you're in school with your friends and you're like, yo, guys, after school today, we're going to get together, roll up a joint. And people are just like, oh, count me in. You're bad, dude. It's just people like breaking the rules.
Because there's, like I said, you get that little dopamine shot. It feels good.
People aren't going to understand that later. They're just going to be like, yeah, smoking weed. Shut up.
Yeah, once the culture accepts it. Once it's like the big mommy and daddy called the government are like, you can have that. Then there's no sting to it anymore. There's nothing you get out of it. It's like, oh, I can have that, and that's not fun.
Then we move to heroin.
Exactly.
The snowball effect.
Dude, personally, people call weed a gateway drug. There is no bigger gateway drug than alcohol. I'll tell you right now, dude.
Facts.
When you're drunk, you'll
You'll do
absolutely
anything.
your guard is down. Whereas weed, you're like, whoa. If you're stoned, you're like, what is it? I ain't taking that. What is that?
I mean,
Yeah.
defining something as a gateway drug is kind of strange because if I didn't do weed, I don't know if I would have done like mushrooms or something like that, you know? So it kind of is, but deeming it, even if it is, like that doesn't mean you need to discredit weed for like all the good that it has.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like if you're asking the question, is marijuana a gateway drug? I'd say absolutely. But I'd say that tobacco is a huge gateway drug. Tobacco paves the way for addiction. Absolutely. Same as alcohol. They're both way more addictive than weed. And not only that, but if we're going to talk about gateway drugs, food can be a drug too. Just
Sugar.
yeah,
Shopping.
literally sugar. Like you can set yourself up for an addictive personality by being completely sober in your entire waking life, but just making other bad decisions.
Dude, I was waiting for Chris to pay at that Stop and Shop the other day, or the Big Y, and I was looking at baby formula, and it was like there was like 29 grams per serving of sugar in baby formula.
Get them started young.
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck?
Dude, that's a travesty, man.
That is a travesty, dude. That's unbelievable.
Like you're just setting them up from the very get-go to be addicts.
It's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like you think a baby needs that type of sugar, dude?
No one needs that type of sugar.
Nobody does. Never mind like something this big.
That's almost a full serving for an adult, like male.
Is that really what it was? 29 grams?
It was like 26 or 29
Oh
grams.
my
Yeah.
god.
Dude, 26 grams is the recommended daily intake for, I'm pretty sure, the average human.
Yeah, I love how they like in the food pyramid, like they put sweets in there. Like it's like your daily value.
You should have a little bit.
Sweets. Yeah. It's like right. I think it's right in the oh no, it's at the very top of the triangle, I think.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like the thing you're supposed to have the least of, but like you can still have. But have some.
And why is bread at the bottom? Why is the pyramid built on carbs?
That's what you're supposed to eat.
like supposed to by nature or by what we think we're supposed to
Because
eat?
you're a peasant and you're going to eat rice from now on. Potatoes.
Yeah, all right. Make your diet mainly consist of bread, grains, rice, pasta, all that shit. Try to fit in a little bit of veggies, maybe some protein.
And milk.
And milk.
Don't we transition the conversation? I wanted to hit this Vegas thing. What happened in Vegas recently?
Hey, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
No.
Oh no.
What do you guys think of it? Like, how do you think gun laws are gonna progress? Or like, do you think that there was a mental issue or multiple shooters? Because there are conspiracies that there are multiple shooters now.
I don't know much about it. I've seen a lot of the videos. I've skimmed actually like some of the articles, but I mean, from what I can gather, it really reflects a lot of the shooting culture in the U.S., but it's definitely by far the worst. So like I don't know what precedent this will set for the U.S., but one thing I noticed that was really funny about the news when this happened was it was just so weird. All of the like more conservative leaning news shows were just like, all right, like this is a huge tragedy, and this is not the time to talk about gun laws. Like this is the time to grieve, and this is the time to, set. So they're like basically just trying to push it off, just like this is not the time to talk about it.
Right.
But then in the same newscast, the lady was like, and how was he able to get all these guns past the hotel security? Like we should be really looking at reforming hotel security.
Yeah, that's
And I'm
not
like, if this is not the right time to be talking about gun laws, then why is it you're telling me that the proper reaction to that would be like, all right, we really got to crack down on hotel security
and that's
guards.
bullshit because like it's so easy to sneak guns into a hotels. They don't check your bags, number one, and that's it. That's all you gotta do. Just break the guns down and put them in your bag. It's super simple, dude.
I'm pretty sure you could walk by with a gun bag on your back through a hotel lobby and no one would say anything.
Dude, it's crazy.
Yeah, and that's
You
not
have
to say
10 plus weapons.
I think it was 15.
15.
Dude, something that Sean said the other day, which really interested me, was he said that
Like bump stock?
yeah, they're bump stocks, dude. He wasn't actually using fully automatic weapons. Because it's actually, like, the news paints it to be like, oh, you pull this pin and it's fully automatic, but it's not like that at all. He was actually using, like, all these, like, aftermarket pieces so that he could make them into
Were
semi-automatic.
they all legal?
It was all legal. Bumpers, like, for those who don't know what a bump stock is it's the stock of the gun that goes up against the arm. And essentially, it allows the gun like a couple inches of movement. So what you do is you keep your finger on the trigger, so the whole gun moves and it repeatedly hits the trigger. So the whole gun is moving and it's making it into an automatic rifle, even though it's semi-automatic. Yeah, so it's totally subverts gun laws because like you could have like a semi-automatic 22 and make it like fully automatic.
I had no idea.
Those are probably going to move to being illegal after this incident, right?
I don't know, man. I hope so. It's like it's funny because it could be like if it's in Las Vegas, but then like say only the state, Nevada, yeah. Say Nevada does it. Well, what about the rest of the country? Or is it going to be a federal thing with conservative in office?
Right.
I don't know. Like, whole conservative like Congress. I don't know. I don't know if we'll see more.
What do you
more gun
feel
laws
about gun laws in general?
Yeah, I was talking to my uncle about this yesterday. I'm not sure, man. There's a lot of touchy shit going on because you obviously don't want all these high power rifles being easily accessible to the public. But then you do, you know. But then you're like, why not? Because we all have this right. The Second Amendment allows you to protect yourself against like a malicious government and all that. But it does also allow you to carry them in your home, which is around other homes, and this shit happens. Like these incidents happen, and this guy didn't seem like he was struggling with any psychological issues or anything like that. Obviously he was, because anyone who does this is battling that shit. But as far as family testimonies go, he didn't have a history with anything, so it seemed to catch all his family and friends off guard, which is the scariest part because no one saw it coming. And there's a testimony by his brother. If anybody like hasn't seen that, you should check that out. I saw that. That shit's crazy, man. The guy was just like, the camera, all the interviewers and reporters were asking questions, and he was like, dude, there's no way any of us saw this coming. Like, they were like, what do you think of this? And his brother was like, well, my brother just killed 50-something people, and then he killed himself, so no one saw it coming. He bought my mom like something the other day, and we all like, we're in good spirits, and then this shit happens, like, there's no way you can even prep for it.
Like that's the scary part. Is like, what the hell started this? Like, why?
Yeah, I don't know. Dude, as far as gun laws, I'm so in the middle because there's always like an ebb and flow of like, I'll see something that'll push me in one direction, but then I'll think of something else that I don't know. I always stay like somewhat moderate, and I know that moderate is like really relative depending on what everyone else feels. But like, I don't know. I'm one to hate censorship of anything, where I just feel like if you give the government the power to tell you what you can and can't have, and obviously there have to be exceptions, like you can't let people have bombs and shit. But I don't know. It's so weird. It's such a weird issue because we're one of the few. I shouldn't say few, but we are one of the few countries, I guess, that have these really loose gun laws, and I think that the best balance is to just have like fucking harsh background checks, because there's a lot of places where you don't, basically the background check isn't dick, you know, you just walk in and buy a gun.
It's true that like it's much easier to get a gun in the Midwest, correct?
Absolutely.
Dude, yeah, Maine, you can walk in. You just need to show them your ID.
Are you sure?
Yeah, that you're 21. I'm almost positive that you can just walk in and buy a rifle.
Dude, my grandpa always is like,
Purpose.
I don't know, man. I really don't know about that because my grandpa says he's had the worst like experiences with the Maine like environmental police because it's such a popular hunting state that they just have to be so.
What trouble does he have like with license checking?
Yeah, he was telling me that he went in with a pistol permit from Massachusetts, and they were like, "No, we ain't taking that." He's like, "I had like it transfers." And I don't know exactly the story, but even just like buying it with a permit from Massachusetts, they're almost going to say no.
Really?
Yeah, because in Massachusetts, I believe it's a license to carry, and that goes for any guns. It sounds like a pistol permit, but it's actually for all guns. So like he was going up there to buy a shotgun, I think. He's like, nope, this is a pistol permit. That's what it was. He's like, no, this is like the umbrella thing in Massachusetts. And they were like, nope. And then finally, like, he called like the Maine like Fish and Wildlife, and they were like, yeah, no, that's exactly.
Really?
Yeah, he can buy that.
I'd have to double check that, but I heard that Maine was pretty straightforward. If you're at age, you can just purchase a rifle or a handgun.
If not Maine, then definitely a vast majority of the states.
Yeah, out west, man, it's super easy to acquire a firearm.
I don't know why Utah. To me, it's just like something about Utah's. I'm just thinking. I'm like, there's a lot of people with a lot of guns out there.
You can have an eighth of weed in Colorado. Drive an hour into Utah, and that weed is legal in Colorado, and then you can be sentenced to like 5 years in prison or 2 to 5 years in prison for that same amount of weed. It's fucking crazy.
You're crossing an imaginary line.
Yeah, it's just wild. And like we stopped at a liquor store in Utah, and we were checking out beers, and no beer can be over like 4.2% or something like that, like legally. But they also serve hard alcohol and vodka and whiskey. You know, it's just like super inconsistent. And that's a big lesson that this trip taught me is like this country is so much bigger than people realize. And regulating all these laws and being consistent throughout the whole country with all these rules and regulations is impossible. This country is way too big to have everybody under one federal government. Way too big. California alone should be a country. I read that it's the 5th largest economy. California alone is the 5th largest economy in the world, over France.
Wow.
Yeah, they're like GDP.
What do you guys think of like secessionism? Like allowing a state to freely vote and say we no longer be one of the United States. We want to be a country. Exactly. What like should Texas be able to vote on it and say we're not a part of the American?
I mean, if you respect democracy, I think you have to allow it, right? That's what's kind of happening in Spain right now. Spain.
That's been crazy, dude. You watching that?
Yeah, well, I saw it in the fucking flipping burger place today or whatever.
Yeah.
On TV. Yeah, they're trying to succeed. Yeah, man. I don't know. I mean, I don't have any qualms with it if that's what the majority of people want and if they're doing it legally and like hopefully peacefully, but even if it's a little violent, like sometimes that's how it goes. If you want progress, like look at American history. A lot of American history involves a lot of violence. Martin Luther King did his thing, but Malcolm X also did his, and they did it 2 different ways, but they both progressed civil rights, whether it was violently or not.
Yeah, honestly, that's a great point.
Sometimes you need it, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's something people are so afraid to like do any sort of like bad for in the name of good. It's like you're either a pacifist or a bad guy, and I don't think that's the case. Like, I think that there's something to like keeping your weapons sheathed, like having your weapons, but
that's the noble
using
thing to do. Is just like use your words and like convince people and get on their side, which is like ideally that's how you would want to do it, but sometimes when there's disagreements and you know you stand for a greater good than this person's allowing, you have to unsheath your sword. Like you have to protect your people.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Is people get real upset over violent protests, and they're like, "This is not the way to do it. You should be doing this peacefully." Which I can see where they're coming from. But then when you have someone do it peacefully, like you have someone kneeling during a national anthem, and people are like, "That's fucking disrespectful. Like that's the wrong way to protest." That's like, all right. So what's the right way to protest? Like if you can't do it violently, and I can't think of anything less violent than getting on a knee and just like, sitting there silently. I mean, I understand where a lot of these people are coming from, but the fact that infuriates people, it blows right by me, dude. It doesn't bother me, and it doesn't change my life whatsoever.
Can you see their point though?
I see their point, and I think that it's a really difficult thing to argue, especially when they're like, people died for this, because then their emotions are involved, because likely they have someone in their family that died for that. So it's like, I think it's definitely a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's definitely an aggressive move, but that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to make change. You're trying to provoke change. So yeah, it's provocative, but that's what protest is, I feel. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like if someone wants to protest the flag gives them the freedom to do that. You have to, my business law professor says that even the most vile of speech, that is the speech that should be most protected. The speech that you hate the most. Because you have to allow it to be put out there. I feel like say for example, if you have a large group of Nazis living in your country, I feel like I would want to let them express that, because at least then you know who the Nazis are.
And you just let them make themselves look stupid.
Yeah, it's like people will see that, and people will see who they are, versus like forcing them into cloaking themselves and being mysterious, so that you don't know if there's some sort of like uprising, you know?
Right.
You can't just force that shit into the shadows because then it just comes out twice as strong.
Dude, it's scary. Like, nowadays, people are throwing that Nazi word around, and that is not a word to throw around lightly. Like, with this whole punch a Nazi thing, like, there are some Nazis. But you can't just go around calling people who disagree with Nazis.
Yeah.
Because that's how you get people, like, you see that kid who got hit with the bike lock?
No.
Like, it was a professor who was, like, wearing the, like, Antifa thing at the rally, and, like, he like, just hit some kid with a... Like, I see a whole bunch of people getting hurt. I ain't see any Nazis getting punched.
But then again, in Charlton, like, you allowing all these Nazis to rally in the streets, that's irresponsible. What do the Nazis stand for? They stand for segregation, and they stand for a form of hate and violent, like, repression. So you allowing them to rally in the streets alongside or in the same community as people who they're straight up against, that's irresponsible as a municipal organization or as a city district. You shouldn't be able to, like, allow that because violence happened. People died there, you know?
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think Noam Chomsky was the one who said that if you don't stand for freedom of expression for even the ones you hate the most, you don't believe in that right at all. And I agree with that because I think it's one of the most fragile rights we have. But all in all, you need to set a line. You need to foresee what violence is going to happen if you allow Nazis to rally in the streets. You know.
Yeah, I think there's a great balance to it because if you
there's no balance right now.
I mean, there isn't right now, but I feel like the perfect response exists in a balance between where we're at now. You know, like dude, just the fact that Trump's the president. I feel like the reason that's happened is just for the past like 8 years, people have been like, and I mean I'm guilty of it too, because when I identified as more liberal and more like quote progressive, I just like you push people's ideas that you don't agree with away from you unconsciously. And I feel like for the past 8 years, anyone who's conservative has just been kind of disregarded to the point where they've been like ushered into silence. And I feel like because of that, they came back twice as strong in a form that they probably don't even, it wasn't their ideal, you know, means to an end. I mean, I don't think Trump is the hero of the Republican Party, but I feel like he was their only option. And for a lot of people, they felt like he pushed out that voice that they weren't allowed to use, you know. So I feel like that was their means to escape.
These past like all of college for me has been like just a moving towards the center. Like I was always raised in a super leftist house. Like both my parents very liberal, but like.
Your father, you think? Yeah.
My dad?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, my dad's a union guy.
Yeah.
Like he is Democrat till he like to the point he just will vote Democrat, like no matter what.
Because that's what has his like his. But you gotta talk about this shit, dude. Because you can't just say I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican, and that covers all of my views. Because like I tend to lean a little more left, but I like to have my guns. I like to hunt. And at the same time, like, I want the government to keep their hands off a lot of shit. I don't think that big government is necessarily the way to go. But if someone was to ask me straight up, are you a Democrat or Republican, I'd probably say Democrat.
I think I lean more Democrat, but I don't think I'd consider myself a full Democrat, you know? Just independent, man. Just like there are some conservative standpoints that like are reasonable, like gun laws, you know? I stand for a lot of like protecting and rights, and that's all that usually sits on the right. But I see your point, because Hillary's a joke, dude. Hillary and Trump are both a joke. This fucking election was wild, dude.
It was just a loser's game.
And I think Bernie set a precedent in young hearts to like, he instilled like some passion, some political passion again, which was cool, like a JFK type thing. But I don't know. I'm hoping that passion in our generation, the millennial generation, will last until the next election, which might include Elizabeth Warren or someone. I'm not even sure.
Dude, Bernie broke my heart, man.
Bernie, why?
I know that everyone's like, oh, he made the smart decision. He backed out.
He made the only decision he kind of could.
He would have fucking won.
Against Trump, but not against Hillary, man. The DRC, like, they would have squashed him.
They screwed him.
Yeah, they would have squashed him.
I mean, there's record of them purposely doing it.
Yeah.
Like, the DNC, his own party, conspired
Then
against him.
Then why bow down?
Dude, he bowed down.
Like, he should have been
and-
like, fuck the DNC.
I think
'Cause that would've
he might have
ruined him.
reasoned with Hillary, or I don't know, man.
Taking her money.
I'm just a 22-year-old like
Dude.
civilian. You know, I don't
like,
know like
Civilian.
I don't know their world,
Yeah.
but I would assume that Bernie Sanders reasoned with Hillary, or something like that to instill some of his ideologies in her. But I don't know.
I get it. I get the whole, like, he made the smart decision. He decided that, like, Hillary was a lesser evil than Trump, so he backed down. But I don't know, dude. He, like, just like you said, he instilled this fire in people's hearts, and then he just dropped it, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just something was a little fishy about that situation to me.
Yeah, I read
'Cause he
some
didn't
weird
drop
shit
it.
about him.
I feel like he didn't drop it. It was taken from him.
Think so?
Dude, think of
Dude,
how
he totally
powerful.
just
Think of how powerful the Clinton machine is. It's like, dude, those people are not ones to mess with. Like, they are so deep rooted in the government. They just have so much power, dude. Even though Bill Clinton is no longer the president, he doesn't hold that power. But dude, they have so much money and so many people backing them behind closed doors. Like, think of how many. Like, if Hillary had to wear like a jacket with all of her sponsors on it, like a NASCAR driver, she'd have so many fucking logos on that
the
jacket.
big
dude.
banks vest.
Exactly.
Big
dude.
Banks Fest. I'm sweating through this shirt.
Like, when you're going against Hillary,
I'll join you a little bit.
dude, like when you go against Hillary, you're also going against all the organizations that back her. So it's like you're literally pushing against this machine that you're supposedly a part of. I feel like it would have been a suicidal move for his career.
Dude, the power of the public, my man. Like, Bernie started people flooding politics, and that is beautiful. That is what we need, because that is what will evaporate the Clintons' power. When every decision they make is just bathed in the sunlight of consciousness, and everybody sees it for what it is, then and only then will they not be able to pull the shit that they're pulling now.
Yeah, I feel like it'll be different next time around because I don't view the Clinton machine as powerful as it once was. I feel like it's like this decayed remnant of what it used to be. She got destroyed in this election, dude. There's no coming back from how bad she got. Like, she just, even against Donald Trump, whom I don't think anyone really likes. I mean, there's
A lot of people like
the people that like him, they get rallied behind like I feel like they get rallied behind the energy. But like, how can Hillary Clinton lose against Donald Trump? Rather, how can any actual career politician lose against Donald Trump?
I don't know,
Nobody
man.
liked her, dude.
Trump
it
filled
wasn't
this
just
like
Trump though. It was a cabinet. You know, it was like. I'm sure Mike Pence had involvement in it, but
Yeah.
it was the RNC, man. They just out manipulated her. And the polls the primaries, I mean, didn't predict anything correctly or accurately. It was a shit show. It caught a lot of people off guard.
Regardless, I don't think Hillary has a chance forever.
no.
I feel like that was her
crooked
one
Hillary.
chance.
Dude, he beat her with that crooked Hillary.
Yeah.
That he makes memes of people. Dude, Donald Trump is a memer, and when you throw memes, it like sticks in people's heads.
Yeah, and I'm
Like,
not gonna lie. As much as I hate Donald Trump, I really liked it. I enjoyed the ride. It was a lot of fun to look at him bash on Hillary because I didn't really dislike Hillary until the election when I realized how like just creepy and manipulative their machine was, because like Trump brought it to light. You know,
dude, Trump was more like Bernie Sanders than Hillary was. Like, his rallies were free. Like, meanwhile, Hillary Clinton's out there charging $600 attendance to her rallies.
what?
Yeah. Like, you have to pay to hear her talk. Whereas, like, Bernie Sanders
And Trump are doing them in like town halls, like talking to the people.
But it also goes to like what they actually stand for too. And do you think that Trump stood for things more similarly than Hillary did to Bernie?
I don't understand the question.
I think I know what you're saying.
Do you think that most of the principles Donald Trump embodied were more similar to Bernie than Hillary's?
No, I mean like his general like election tactic, not like his stances.
I also think
sure about that.
with Trump, you know where he stands on a lot of things, whereas with Hillary, her views on topics change depending on who's backing her. Like, she wasn't cool with gay marriage until the voter turnout would have allowed her to be cool with it, you know? Until it was actually until there were more people supporting gay marriage than there were less, she was not cool with it. I mean, her and her husband signed the Defense of Marriage Act in like 1994 and 95 that made it federally illegal for them to get married. And so she was on that, she was leading that bandwagon in the 90s. And then fast forward to 10 years, she's running for election, and now she's like, oh, I'm cool with that. I've always been cool with that. She never addressed how she changed her views. It was just like night and day.
Dude, this whole thing just points to like, I love that idea that like politicians are elected followers. Like they just completely just bow down to public opinion because that's what's going to get them reelected. But also Trump flip-flopped just as much as Hillary.
For sure. Trump's flip-flopping, I feel like almost stemmed from a misunderstanding on his own part of what he was even supporting.
Dude, he's just pure chaos.
He
like,
is.
You can't like handle the Donald. He'll just spit whatever like comes out at that second, whatever he thinks is gonna woo that crowd, and they're just gonna say like, remember when he was like, I could shoot someone in New York and then like in Times Square right now, and I wouldn't lose a single voter.
He was right.
And he was right. He was dead right.
Dude, Corey Leonowski, his first campaign manager, his strategy for managing Donald Trump was let Trump be Trump. That was like, he was all hands off deck. He told people just let him do his thing. Give him his own Twitter. Just let Trump be Trump. And that's what let him win. Because I feel like at the end of the day, people saw him as more of a genuine candidate than Hillary. He was running his own Twitter feed. He's like out there, regardless of like how toxic the shit he's spewing actually is, at least like he's saying it and you think that at least he believes it. Hillary is like, you don't know what she believes. You know, dude, there was that one thing she said, she was all for legalizing marijuana through her campaign. But then there was that leaked meeting with these bankers where she was telling them like, hey, I have to be cool with weed for the spotlight, but don't you guys worry, I'm not cool with weed. I mean, obviously,
Obama did some sketchy shit like that too, dude.
Oh yeah.
He stood for marijuana. He was pro what's it called when you legalize it? Yeah, I guess so.
No, but he was like against the prohibition of it, and then like when the time came to legalize it, he was like still non-committal. So that was weird.
What I do love about even Hillary to a point, Hillary, Obama, Bernie, is that they were very political. They like held the like office of the president to like a certain, like you have to like keep the certain esteem. You have to like have the nice press shirt and like be very quiet and like.
Obama was so suave.
Oh, dude, Obama was
so suave.
No man wears a suit better in the history of ever. It just falls perfectly on it.
And what a great speaker.
Yeah, right. His pauses were amazing. Like if you're talking to me like that, like I'd be like, hurry up, like say it. But like when he's talking on the TV, it just keeps you right in the edge of your seat, and you're just waiting for what he's got to say next.
My opinion on gun laws is that like it's just he like really rattled. I don't know if that was a tactic or if that's just how he generally was, because I do that all the time, especially when I'm trying to be very clear about the message I'm trying to send. Like you just take time to make sure that you get the message across the way you want it to be heard.
So I guess I understand that in politics, but yeah, that's the huge difference between Obama and Trump. Obama was very well spoken, and like you said, he was suave, dude. But Trump was just like he just said what the fuck he wanted.
Yeah.
He just put it out there.
Trump, yeah, I know. It's just kind of biggest downfall. Podcasting.
Dude, on the topic of Trump too, Duncan Trussell said something really cool once that it was just hilarious. He was saying how he pictured Trump versus Hillary, like their pre-debate meetings. He pictured like a Trump debate prep meeting is just like him and a bunch of guys like sitting in a New York City skyscraper. They're all sitting around this table. They're eating cheeseburgers, doing blow. Trump's on the phone with his next like reality TV show deal. Probably talking to Vladimir Putin. Who knows? He probably was. And he's just like, all right, yeah, I gotta go to this stupid debate thing. But then Hillary's debate prep was like you picture her in like this geodesic dome, like surrounded by CIA agents. And they're just like, we ran an analysis on Donald Trump's hair, and we were able to gather the data that we feel like you should you should talk about the grab by the pussy thing at this point in the conversation. Then you should do a pause, and then you should bring this up. If he brings this up, then you won't. And she was just like robotically memorizing it like to a T. And they're just like, yeah, we also pulled an analysis off of the cheeseburger crumb that fell out of his mouth from the last meal. Like just so to a point and like planned out. Whereas Donald's is just like pull the trigger, anything goes.
And that really, that looseness gives him the ability to flow with it and test the crowd, and like he can just roll with the situation, and it made him a much more versatile debater and conversationalist than Hillary was. Because like you said, she had her points.
Yeah. I feel like with her views, she just had to consult people to find out what her views were before she actually told them to us. But in a way too, like I feel like Trump is very reminiscent of Bush in that way. Like if you look at the way Bush used to do public speaking, it's so similar to Trump, man. There's just like when you catch Bush off guard, it's hilarious. Like if you ever watch like a clip of the Bushisms, he's hilarious, dude.
Dude, looking back,
hilarious.
Man, Bush is a sweetheart. Like he was, dude. Like looking back now, like he's just like such a lovable goof. Like have you ever seen that Bush drunk at a party? And, like,
Yes.
he's just, like he does seem just like a nice guy. Like,
Dude, I've seen some actual. I know what you're talking about. I've seen some clips where he's like super sweet, but yeah, exactly. But I mean, look what his foreign policy in the Middle East would look like. You know, so you can't be that sweet.
Did Bush do 9/11?
oh no, dude. Yes, obviously.
Oh my god.
What are we at?
I feel like we should revisit this Bush did 9/11 topic after a quick break.
Ladies, gentlemen, we will be back in a matter of seconds, but we're going to take a little while. Thank you.
All right, we're back. We just talked it over briefly, and Bush did do 9/11, but it was an accident.
Confirmed accident.
I thought we agreed that Obama did 9/11, dude.
Wait, was it an accident for him to do it?
No, it was very much planned. Obama was like in some underground lair with like maps stretched across tables, like bringing strings from like push pin to push pin.
Rubik's cubes.
Yeah, some Rubik's cubes. Dude, I watched a 9/11 conspiracy theory documentary yesterday, actually, with Glenn and Jenna.
9/11 conspiracy?
What was it called?
It was called The Zeitgeist.
Oh! I literally was gonna say that,
The
dude.
first one?
Yeah, I believe it was on. It had 3 major topics. It was on religion, economics, and 9/11.
I think I saw that. I think that was a major film that convinced Chris to leave religion. Not leave religion, but like disregard a lot of his parents' beliefs.
Dude, I will say, like, horribly done documentary. Dude, even for 2007, it's fucking shitty.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not gonna lie, I learned a lot from it. There were a lot of good points, and while I don't know if it necessarily changed my views, because I didn't really even have views to begin with. I don't know fucking shit about 9/11. No matter how much I study it or anyone like me studies it, I don't think we'll ever know. So I try to just look at it with like a healthy level of skepticism. But no, I did like the movie. I think it brought up a lot of good points.
Have you guys ever seen Engineers Against 9/11?
Yeah.
Dude, it's like a whole like organization of engineers who are like, that building should not have been down like that. And like, that's a planned explosion.
Definitely.
I'm like, no. Like, no, America.
Dude, I think one of the things they mentioned in that documentary was that the U.S. has done like at least 20 false flag operations throughout the course of its history, just about on par with 9/11.
What is a false flag operation?
Like basically the U.S. faking something in order to get not even faking, but the U.S. putting something into motion in order to get a desired outcome. Like the example for 9/11 would be them faking Al Qaeda, like making that attack, so that they can have precedence to enter the Middle East.
The U.S. pushes their like agenda everywhere. They love just putting their little like pawns in
Dude,
place.
do you know our
Every
track
country
record
does.
for?
Every government does.
Yeah, it just makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, we have a
Every
pretty good
person
track record.
does.
It's like selfish.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just human nature.
dude, but there's like a healthy level of selfishness to a point. Like you can't be totally selfless because then you won't eat. You just sacrifice everything.
Yeah, you want to submit the ego as much as you can, but you also want to be confident in yourself. You know, that's a weird balance.
Dude, it is. It's that push pull that like keeps it, and then like I don't know, it keeps you as a whole person.
If you could only hover on one of those sides, you were eternally doomed to be on the push or pull. Which one would you choose?
Wait, what do you mean push or pull? From so we were talking like a super like communal consciousness versus like
Versus aggressive
literally
singular.
just communal. Singular sounds so scary.
Yeah, it would be so dumb to pick that.
That's like hyper
Social
neuroticism.
creatures. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's really what neuroticism is. It's just like hyper self like focus. Like the literally your mind is just turned in on itself.
Yeah.
That's something that I notice a lot. Like if you enter a building or something, all of a sudden you just feel how your energy levels just come inwards.
Yeah.
Like the building is just right in your face. Like your eyes aren't like adjusted to like the horizon anymore. Like
Yeah.
we spend our whole lives like even closer, like looking at our hands, like with our phones.
We talked about that before, dude. How basically like when you're walking around outside, you have this constant like sphere of perception, I guess, where your feelers are out there and you're grabbing for every like sight, smell, sound, like any little bit of stimuli that you can pull in. And when you walk into like a corridor, you have essentially been isolated of those senses. Like your world exists within that space, and there's nothing further.
Dude, do you remember when we were sitting in that tree and like this is when we were originally discussing this? When we were like yelling at people who were going by, and like the sober people would pick up on it like instantly, and they would immediately know that we were just sitting in a tree. But when you would yell at the drunk kids who were going by, like nobody would notice. And like at one point it was really funny because one girl was like, "Well, I think there's someone in that tree," and no one else heard it. And everyone's like, "No, like shut up." They're like, "Brianna's like dumb as shit," and like she was the only one who like had actually heard us.
She was the one aware person in the group, and we like called out, and she heard us. So she's trying to get the attention of everyone else, and they're just shunning her.
Yeah, she was being berated for being conscious of her surroundings.
She probably like had trouble sleeping that night. She's like, I know I heard something.
She like came out at like 2 a.m. like peered up in the tree.
That's funny.
Dude, I wanna like that randomly made me think of the fact that I wanna like pitch a hammock really high in a tree. I feel like that like is a super just safe feeling way to sleep in the woods.
Way high in the tree.
Yeah. Like obviously
Flat
gravity,
from predators. It's way higher.
but like
Not safe for
gravity is
falling.
the factor, but like it's a more certain death, but like the probability of an animal getting you up there, like you might get like a raccoon in your hammock. But,
I feel like bears can climb trees though. Imagine like
Oh,
you
that would
wake
actually
up and there's
scary.
a bear in the branch above you and you have nowhere to escape because you position yourself all the way up in the fucking tree.
There's a bear sleeping in the trees.
You'd be surprised what a fire can do at night, though, and like keep an animal away or something like that. Or just
Fire is danger to animals, dude.
Dude, we've gone skydiving and that was an insane like adrenaline rush, but literally like was dwarfed in comparison to when like Chris and I heard that bear like couple 10 like 50 feet away from us, like in the woods in just hammocks. Like that was nothing like I've ever experienced before. It was just sheer, just like in the pure moment. Like there was no thought of anything else.
Did you get a visual on it at all?
Never got a visual.
No.
No, but dude, the sound like haunts my dreams of just like the heavy like thump of its feet as it jogged across the open field, and then you just heard the grunt with every footfall. It was like as it jogged across, and Chris was like falling asleep, and he just shot up, and he's like, "Dude, bear!" And we just literally I was scrambling around in my hammock, like looking for the flashlight because it was like wrapped in my sleeping bag somewhere. And we were just screaming, "Get out of here, bear! Get out of here, bear!" Dude, skydiving was crazy, but there's nothing like that. That good old survival mode, dude, like that whole getting eaten, that shit will get you going.
Yeah, dude, I gotta say I totally agree. I mean, I've never gone skydiving, but I remember being in situations like that where you're unsure of what's around you. I mean, I've never like been 100% certain that there was a bear in front of me. But even like when we were in the cabin in Maine a couple like a month ago, and we heard those coyotes around us, that was like not
That was
really
fun.
as scary as a bear would be. But the adrenaline rush you get from that, from hearing them like closing in on you and they're just running around you, it's terrifying, but it makes you alive, dude. It really does.
Yeah, it does. When I was peeing, I could feel like 4 of them just coming in on me.
It was like the creepiest fucking feeling.
Dude, it's those feelers going out there. You can just feel the thing out
It's
there.
almost like it's just one organism too. They're all like working together.
Yeah.
It's weird, man. It's weird.
You can just feel them communicating out there.
Yeah.
And they can see you and you can't see shit, dude.
I know. It's weird. I didn't even see eyes or anything either.
I saw eyes.
Really? I saw one like run across the yard. So, and then Chris was sleeping outside, wasn't he?
Andrew
Oh, Andrew, yeah.
in the tent. And we were like, Andrew, there's coyotes. And he's like, yep. He's like, that's all right.
All right,
He's in a tent. He like just had this most false sense of security.
I know.
There's a thin layer of cloth between me and my surroundings. Don't worry. Dude, but I'm actually like reading like Carl Jung's just like personal writings, and he like trekked across Africa, and he talks about how at
Carl
night,
Jung did?
yeah,
Wow.
like with a bunch of other people and like guys, but dude, it took like months for them to do it because it was way back in the day. So like they camped on top of this mountain, and he says at night you just hear like lions and jaguars and hyenas like around the fire. Like never mind like a couple coyotes, like you could just like stomp on a coyote.
Yeah.
But like that's something that'll just run out of the woods and just take you away from the fire.
Oh my god.
Dude, big cats are scary.
Like going to pee or something and just like looking up and there's like a lion. Wow. That's another ballgame.
A little bit, yeah.
Dude, your brain is just ready. Like I don't know, just like it's like a not a give up sense, but it's just like it understands like the getting eaten like experience very well because that's happened for a long time.
Right.
Dude, I heard that when bulls like buck in the whole like bull riding thing, with them trying to like throw a human off, that's an evolutionary adaptation of them adapting to big cats and just learning how to toss them off. Like that is their knee-jerk reaction to something being on top of them, because typically they have to launch a cat off of
That
them,
makes sense.
like a
dude.
lion or something.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Whoa! It's just like trying to dislodge a like kick from
Get off me, get
yeah,
off
like
me.
or just like one coming up from the back, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's super cool.
And people are just like, let's see how long I can ride on that for. Dude, people are so
Fucking
funny.
Bronco.
Humans are like, we just do shit for no reason. Like, we're not trying
We're
to
so
eat that
bored.
thing. We're just like, yo, you think you can ride that? Yeah, probably. I'll try.
We have just all the time in the world to just try all this different shit just for shits and giggles.
The
Cause that's
running of the bulls, dude, that's unbelievable.
Dude, we were just watching videos the other day. of that.
Yeah.
People getting fucked up.
Yep.
It's insane, man.
It is, man. It is.
Like it's just like the bull is just absolutely freaking out. It doesn't know what to do.
How far is it?
I don't know. It's at least a mile. They ran at least a mile.
Yeah, probably a mile.
Through like streets.
Dude, I'm pretty sure they just kill them.
They do.
They just kill him at the end. Yeah. Dude, and it's funny because we were saying like, that's fucking dumb. Like, why would you ever do that? But I just was picturing if that was a cultural norm here in America, where like, yeah, running with the bulls like comes to your town once a year, and like everyone does it. Like, dude, we do stupid shit all the time. If they told you like, yo, running of the bulls, Bridgewater, Massachusetts, 2018, are you going? I'd be like, I'll probably be there.
I'm there.
Like, just because the energy, like, that's just such a crazy thing. Imagine that, like Holbrook running with the bulls.
Oh, Holbrook would be where it went down. if it was coming anywhere near us, Holbrook would be the town to just let that slide. Dude, do you know what Holbrook's doing right now? They literally voted in this like state of the art like trash, or I don't know if it's trash or shit. It's called the Solid Waste Transfer Station.
Shit.
Yeah, so it is shit. And it was like state of the art, like everything's gonna be so like high tech and you won't be able to smell anything. Dude, it's a fucking bait and switch. And there's like mad flyers going around the town, like people have been protesting. Like there's law put into place because there's just gonna be a like shit transferring station in Holbrook. Like you will be able to smell it from my doorstep. Like Holbrook is just gonna like truly embody like what it is at its like heart.
That's so funny.
Oh man.
Dude, but it's just fucked up. Like we look at like these big like topics like Trump and Hillary and these giant elections, but there's shit happening right in our back door. Like right in our backyard rather.
I'm sorry, did you say in Massachusetts or in the whole country?
Dude, within your town.
Oh yeah.
Like shit happens and that is where you have a voice.
Yeah, and I'm glad that people are protesting that too, because you have the right to like do that, and you have the power to like prevent that from happening.
It's that
So that's
selfishness,
cool.
dude. It's like, I get that you need that, but I don't want that near me.
Yeah.
And you have every right to say that.
Yeah.
Are we good?
Yeah, I'm just running out of storage space.
It's funny how even if you have the right to say that and you have the masses to say no to it, like money can still trump all of that. You know.
Money moves mountains, dude.
Right.
It truly does now.
We were talking, dude. This is always a topic we get on money.
Money.
That mountain's on the back of my phone, on your screen. That's the mountain. That's my background.
Same one.
What is this operating system? Sierra?
Sierra.
That must be the name of the
Must
mountain?
be Sierra.
Yeah, it's the Sierra Nevadas. That's
Okay.
to the right is Mount Whitney. It's like the tallest mountain in the world, 48.
Dude, you know what's funny about the name of this software? So Apple has always been, well, not always, but like for a long time now, they've been naming their softwares after places in California. So like, it was like Cupertino, Sierra, Mavericks, and they totally like broke the chain with this next one. They just called it High Sierra.
High Sierra Extreme.
High Sierra. Dude, during the keynote, the guy that was speaking about it, he was like, and I promise you, it's fully baked.
I'm waiting
He was
for
making weed puns.
I'm waiting for the iOS Cucamonga.
That lady coming over down the driveway, that was like a story to remember.
That was
That's
amazing,
something
dude.
that's like
Yeah.
better than writing in a book. Like what she said, like what she offered us, that was so cool.
So I brought these giant speakers to Maine, and I was just jamming Grateful Dead, like so loud, not even thinking that we had neighbors directly across the street. And these things are loud, like next level loud. And I was just playing this one particular song by the Grateful Dead called "The Pride of Cucamonga." We actually played ourselves out with it on episode 001. But this lady, Rachel, just wanders down the driveway holding the thing.
Shot golf balls too.
Oh, and we were literally just whacking golf balls, like not even thinking, like right into the lady's yard. And then she just rambles down the driveway, like with the thing of tomatoes. And then she goes, "Hey, boy," she's like, "I ain't never heard Pride of Cucamonga coming over these hills." And it was like, it was just awesome that she just sniped the Grateful Dead song right off the bat. And then she's like, "Oh, and I got some of yours." And she just took out the golf ball. And at that moment, it was like, oh, like we fucked up.
We're
Like,
trouble.
but and with the other hand was like a peace offering of tomatoes.
yeah,
And we all sat
and
around
they were
and just,
delicious.
we just
too.
ate them like literally right away.
We didn't save those fuckers at all. We ate them all within the hour.
That's
We were
what
all
tomatoes
fucked
should
up,
be
too.
eaten.
Like we were not in a position where we should have been talking to anyone other than ourselves because we had been smoking and drinking all day. So,
So, I mean, dude, she's a Maine resident. She probably has been too.
but she was super nice, and that's the best way to handle it. I mean, that's the thing. Like around our area, I feel like if I were hitting golf balls out of my fucking front yard right now and they were landing in the neighbor across the street's driveway, the cops would be here in 5 minutes. There would be no question. Dude, people handle shit differently up there.
One time, Vinny and I were on a boat on the Grove Lake, and there was these people there, and they were just like came out of their car, and they had golf balls. They just like put them down. Like we were like, oh, they're about to start shooting golf balls, and then they were all like laughing and pointing at us, and then all of a sudden they just kept hitting golf balls at us, and we were like, oh my god, they're hitting them at us, and we literally were just like rowing like away as fast as we possibly could. They were landing like right around us too.
Oh my god, that's terrifying.
Dude, Vinny and I spent a lot of time on that Grove Lake. If there's something in there, we've caught it.
Dude, I want to get a boat for this house that we can take out on Carver Pond.
I have one, but I don't know if you have to register. It's a rather large boat.
Okay.
It's a 10-foot crawdad.
Are there largemouth in the Grove, like?
Oh, dude, yeah.
Really?
People pull the biggest fish I've ever seen out of that lake.
Because they're all mutated.
Dude, I literally, something like, not two, like, 2 days ago, I was talking to this guy, like, he was fishing over there, and he's like, I watched a guy pull a 7-pounder out of this lake the other day. I was like, are you kidding?
7-pounder? Wow. Dude, you're lucky to grow up. I know it was like polluted and stuff, but like it's really pretty.
Dude, no, it is.
It's a good spot.
Dude, I've like been offered such a like grassroots like just like childhood, like living like connected with my grandparents, like having like chickens and just like always eating those eggs. Like my grandpa and my dad hunted my whole life, so like there's always like come hunting season, there's a deer hanging upside down. Like on a tripod in the backyard, and they're just like literally cutting it open and just pulling the guts out. Like I'm exposed to that from like the get-go. So I'm like, yeah, like that's just where food comes from. Like we kill and we eat. Or like we don't, you don't eat it out of the Grove Lake, but if you go to like even like the Weymouth Reservoir and fish, like we used to literally like pull them out, and then you like bring a quad in with the grill, and you just fillet it and eat it right there, dude. Like it's really been like a gift to grow up like that.
Yeah, I like that. I think given the choice, and obviously I'm super biased because I've grown up my entire life in woodsy areas, but I just have such a love for that, dude. I don't think I would be nearly the same person at all if I grew up in a city.
No, you'd be removed from it, dude. Removed from like those survival instincts.
Yeah, I'd be totally uncomfortable in the woods.
This is like a good opportunity to talk about what I like wanted to talk about before. Well, how I told you guys on the little break.
Before Bush did 9/11.
Before Bush, way before Bush did 9/11. Before Obama did 9/11. But I want to talk about how like, as an individual, you have to be acquainted with like your dark side and your ability to like do evil. And I feel like both of you guys are like more in touch with your shadow than the average person, and it like doing so like pushes you to do good more because you see those like you see how you could do evil.
Absolutely, dude. It's like how the Nazis, when they interviewed them afterwards, especially the ones working in the concentration camps, they were like, how could they have done this? Like how could they have possibly gotten behind this? Because they're people. People are capable of true evil, especially if that's the only opportunity they're given. So you have to be able to realize in yourself that if you were growing up in that time, you probably would have been, if you were located in that area and you were, white, Catholic, or not Catholic, what was like the Aryan view?
Baptist.
Yeah, if you fit into that category, you likely would have been a Nazi. And not because you're...
Oh, I thought you meant like white, like, I thought you meant like KKK. I don't know what they were.
Oh, yeah. Doesn't matter. Whatever label, whatever God they love. Just you have to be able to identify that you as a human are capable of that, because it makes you truly realize what you are. Like you have to be able to admit that. Like if you say like, oh, there's no way that I would have been susceptible to that. Like I would have seen past it and I would have fought for the good. That's very hopeful, I think.
It's easy to preach, like to see your shadow and all that, but bro, what do you mean by like? So if you're aware of your shadow, does that make it easier to go the other direction?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
What if being aware? I'm just playing devil's advocate, but like, what if being aware of your shadow, is like entices you in that direction? Does it help reason away? Like, are we naturally inclined to reason away from that shadow?
I really hope so. I hope that like to be human is to be good and to recognize the bad.
And what is the shadow? Just absolute bad? Mm-hmm.
It's that part of you that reaches like straight to hell. That part of you that's capable of pure evil with like no absolute care for that other person or whatever you're doing harm to. And like when you realize that like if you were raised in Nazi Germany, like you could have been a Nazi and you could have been like a pretty brutal one. And like once you realize that, you can be like, oh shit, I'm a loaded weapon, and like I have to like watch my actions, especially around other people, and like even like little kids, dude, like parents who don't think of this shit, don't see themselves as the like danger that they are, like you're a pure power over a child, and like you have to like be conscious of how dangerous you can be to them.
Yeah. No, go on, man.
No, keep going. I was
just gonna say, like, I feel like as you accept that ability and as you're able to identify the evil in yourself, making yourself more conscious of that makes it easier to stay away from that, because that's just part of your instincts. I feel like not your instincts, but that's part of like your ape problem solving. Like at the end of the day, you're just doing things that are best for you, or what you think is best for you and maybe your family. So if you can have that, I guess it's almost a level of emotional intelligence of being aware of what you are capable of, then you can at least steer yourself in the direction that you want to go in and not that you think you have to go in. That's my spiel.
And you can be totally disingenuous too with how, like, you can, you can look at like myths, like Jordan Peterson has talked about this in Carl Jung, but they've also like put myths and these like ancient story tales to the test, and all of them, the heroes are like this good natured guy and this person who like stands for everybody. So what if you're an evil person deep down, but you're intelligent enough to see that like in order to succeed in life and in order to gain a following, you are disingenuinely nice to everybody and you rise, you know what I'm saying?
You're like a genuine fraud.
A genuine fraud, man, exactly. And so what if you rise to the occasion and you end up like, you do have a greater good, but you're the only cause of it, the only motivation of it is just to climb to a socioeconomic like extreme. So what if you did all that, gained a following, you brought civilization up behind you, like to a reasonable or to a more prosperous position, and is that still a good thing?
Dude, I'm gonna stop you there because we just stopped recording because the disc glazed. So let me see where we left off, and we can I'll delete some shit real quick, and then we'll try to pick up where it's.
Do you want my external hard drive?
I shouldn't need it. There are definitely some things I can get rid of.
Dude, I think, should I go on or no?
Sure.
I think that like what we're really asking is like about, what we're really asking is like, does intention matter in an action?
And how far does that go?
Like, does it matter if that like outwardly the action is good, or does it matter if like it has to be motivated by a good inner like?
Right.
And like, honestly, I don't fucking know the answer to that question. I will never in my life be able to tell you that answer to that question, but we can all talk about it and try to find a good answer.
Yeah, that's a deep subject. It's a deep ass subject. We just conjured that up ourselves.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Dude, that is like, honestly, I've like talked about that in class with teachers.
Yeah.
I fucking love philosophy, dude.
Yeah,
People are like shit on philosophy, but I love that major.
People just don't like it because it's too hard. But
Philosophy's
it's really not that hard.
It's hard to the extent that the biggest questions can't be answered. That's fucking hard to grasp and swallow. But yeah, philosophy. What is philosophy though? Besides like answering abstract questions about the universe.
It's realizing that you don't know shit.
Mm.
That like,
And that's
dude, like it's like I don't know. I think it's Socrates. Yes, it was Socrates. He went to the oracle. He's like, who's the wise? Like he just like started asking question on this. He's like, who's the wisest person in Greece? And it's like you, because you know that you don't know. And it's like everybody else thinks that they got it down. They're like, oh, dude, I'm a lord. Like I know. I'm like what I say is right.
right.
Whereas he's like, what do I know? And that like not knowing and asking the question is what makes you wise, because you're like out there searching for the answer.
And it's giving everybody the opportunity to be that person too. It's like letting everybody have the availability to that. That's cool.
Dude, I truly and earnestly hope with my whole soul that to be human is to be good.
It's like, why would you think otherwise, you know?
How can you be a human and think otherwise? Why are you fucking being good then?
Yeah. You gotta love us, man. You gotta love each other. Even if you don't like things in the other people, you still have to love them. That's how we go.
That's just what it is, dude. You gotta tolerate it.
Yeah. And it goes back to like the whole like letting people, the First Amendment stand for even the worst enemies. That's important, dude.
Exactly. It ties right back into itself, dude.
Yeah. That's like one of the most important parts of America, I think, is the First Amendment. It's like one of the most beautiful things.
Dude, it's so like how you said though, like how could you stand for Nazis like just rioting in the center, like, but like if they apply for permits and do it peacefully, like I can't say anything. I really can't.
I know. The town just has to say, like, is this a public safety hazard? It's like, probably. So, like, yeah.
So throw some cops there, dude. Like, throw some bodies.
Throw some Nazi cops.
Oh no. The GoPro rides on.
Was that recorded?
Oh yeah.
I'm having a great time.
Dude, that was a cool discussion.
Dude, we're gonna keep
We
going.
lost a lot, unfortunately.
And we're back.
Done well. Hey guys, a couple more technical difficulties. We lost a lot of stuff, so we're gonna.
You'll hear that, but you'll hear it through the camera. The
Yeah.
camera audio.
We're just gonna post the camera audio in there. It should be fine.
Yep. Sorry, guys.
All right. I don't even remember what we were talking about. We were talking about good and evil and shit.
Good and evil and other shit.
It's like the
Yeah.
most profound thing ever.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Brian and I were talking about how like we really, really hope that people are like entirely good at at their hearts. But whether we can actually say that, I don't know. Because like, look at shit like Vegas. Like this dude just for no reason just mows people. Dude, innocent people. Also, though, if those people were sober, dude, they would have been much more efficient at getting out of there. Like it's just like when we were like yelling at the people in
You're
the
right.
trees, dude.
It's fucked up to say, but like it's not wrong, you know. Like there's a lot of like
Dude,
a
everyone
lot
just
of
sat
variables to take into place. That was the thing that blew my mind is when they heard the shots ringing out. I gotta say, like probably 80% of the people just dropped down, and like if that were me, and I would like to think that I would be running out on all fours. But you
like,
don't know how
it's
you react.
gunfire from like you just hear like you think it's in the distance, like in the city.
Yeah, you don't even know,
You know,
where you're
so-
getting shot at.
Yeah, exactly.
And the
You don't
dude
know-
just ran off stage. Like, you're just like, what? Like, do you think that it was a good move him not saying anything? Like, do you think that if he induced a panic, it would have been worse? Like, if he was like, gunman, run! The gunman just runs. No, I'm kidding. But, like, I don't know. That could, dude, maybe like 100 people would have died, like, from a stampede.
Yeah, who knows? Gunman, run!
We should just,
I gotta
it just
get outta
got
here.
caught everybody off guard, man. Like, there's no way you can predict that. There's no way you can fathom it in the first, like, 20, 30 seconds of it. Unless, like, some people are getting mowed down next to you and you're like, what? And then you're putting, like, 2 and 2, like, an off-distance gunfire with, like, slaughter in the immediate area. I don't know. It's confusing. I understand. And you're in a group of, like, 300 people. Or no, not
More
even.
than that, dude.
Yeah.
Way
I mean,
more
like,
than
in your
that.
immediate area, like, you're just, like, squished together. I don't know. There's nowhere you can, like, efficiently get
Yeah, you can't just run through, like, a sea of people, dude.
No.
especially when they're trying to do the same thing. It's wild.
When they're drunk and just, like, completely grounded where they... He's like, where are you going, dude?
Where you going, dude? What do you not like music?
This is super
Hey,
insensitive.
country music, bro.
We shouldn't be laughing, but
We should just like get a little segment called Brett Offends Everybody.
Oh my god, wow, dude! In any circumstance, in any tragedy, no matter how dire, you have to leave room for people to cope with comedy. I feel like that's essential. People cope with laughter and comedy, I feel like, more than any other method.
Because, dude, it's like, it fucking is scary that some dude was able to just do that. Like, not only that he was physically able to do it, but that he allowed himself to just get to that place.
Yeah,
And, like, it just makes you, like, feel how real it is.
it does.
Dude, do you know what that makes me really think of is how real it is being on the highway. Like, we have such a bubble of security around us, dude. But, like, you like, drive and you just look at the railing and, like, there's, like, a cross there. Some guy just died there. And you're like, I'm like, dude, it's real out here. Like, I gotta pay attention.
Dude, anything could happen. You're literally putting yourself in a high velocity missile. It's got explosives in it, and you're just like barreling down, like controlling it with your shitty, fallible
And, like,
human
you're
senses.
texting at the same time, too.
Texting. Maybe you're a little stoned. Like fuck, and we just give ourselves this ability. Like you're literally driving a torpedo, is what you're doing.
Yeah, the crosses are legit, man. We don't talk about that enough. How crosses are on the side of the road.
Everywhere, dude.
I
Like,
know.
every, like, dangerous intersection. You're like, whoa, this is a sketchy intersection. It's, like, lined with, like just live. And you're like,
Dude, if you were ever walking somewhere, like, and you came across like a clearing that's filled with just crosses, you'd be like, "Oh, this is a bad place. Like, I gotta get out of here. This is a death zone." But you're literally driving on it every day. Like, wherever you go, you probably see at least one or two crosses or like wreaths on the side of the road. People just remembering someone that died on that road.
Yeah.
dude, it's crazy how, like, cops are, like, the predators of that wilderness out there. And, like, anything goes until, like, there's a Stady, like, parked on the side of the road. Then everyone's going the speed limit. Everyone's, like, paying attention, giving the person space in front of them. Like,
The enforcers.
exactly. And it's, like, all of a sudden the thing just, like, launches and gets somebody. And you're like, oh, shit. Like,
Yeah.
it could have been me. Like,
It's like you're just like a stampede of like antelopes, and there's just one like lioness like sitting in the brush, and it's just looking like watching them all
Yeah, they
pass
just get
by,
one of you, dude.
and then boom, like it just picks one
I
out
know,
and gets
and
behind
they just
it.
rob you.
Dude, do you know what's insane is that like at the like end of every like legal offense is death. Like that's the whole thing is like if you don't pay this parking ticket, then like you'll have to pay a big fine. And if you don't pay that big fine, like you're gonna go to jail. And like if you don't go, like if you only go to jail for a little bit, then you're gonna go to jail for like a long time. And then like what's after that if you still don't comply?
Yeah,
Like,
like
you die.
everything is ultimately enforceable by death if you look at it that way, I suppose.
It's like the ultimate gang.
It is. I mean, you have to have some matter to enforce everything, I guess. But like, it's crazy how like a parking ticket could spiral into you being locked into a box.
Because you just put your car somewhere where you was deemed not like.
It's weird. We did in my business law class, we did a court case on the legality of a cop having your car towed and not letting you know, and then how soon they could crush your car and what you're liable to pay if you don't take care of it before it's too late, and what is actually liable to happen to you if you don't take any steps and you just like let the tickets and the fees build up. It was a really interesting discussion. I mean, I'm not going to do it any justice here, but like basically the main argument was if a cop tows your car, must they inform you that they did it? And if they inform you, what actions are you required to take or what should you take? And basically like they find that no, there doesn't have to be any notice. Like they can tow your car, but they don't have to tell you. You just have to figure it out for yourself and figure out where it got brought to.
Dude, do you remember that time like we thought that your car got towed and we
Yeah.
were literally just calling like we had no idea whether the car didn't get towed, but like we had just like got a little lost and we thought that it was the same street but it was a different street. But we were just calling we were just calling different tow yards and like dude, they leave you nothing. Like it's like, oh, my car is gone. Did it get stolen? Was it legally towed? Like I don't know.
Where was it legally towed to?
Yeah, like we're in Springfield. Like we don't know Springfield.
Yeah, I know, that was wild, dude. Calling like 3 or 4 different like tow companies or whatever, and they're all like, no man, we don't have your car. You're just like bouncing around, and then you have one, and he's like, yeah, like, and then gives you like a ridiculous sum of money. That luckily didn't happen. It was just like the next street over. It just
Dude,
looked
that happened to
identical
me.
to the one that we were looking at.
My car got towed, and they got towed on campus, and they didn't tell me. Well, they never informed me, and they weren't planning to. And I went looking for it like a week later, and it was gone. So I called the police. They were like, yeah, we had it towed. And they gave me the number for the tow company. And the tow company's like, yeah, it's been here for a week. So it's a $35 fee every night that it's here. And also every day compounding into this. In addition to that, you're going to have to pay the tickets, which mind you, I got the tickets appealed, but like they just never put the paperwork through. So it was actually a clerical error on BSU's part, but ultimately ended up in my car getting towed. Dude, it cost me $500 to get it out of the tow yard that day. And if I didn't take it out that day, it was going to be impounded. So I, like, from the moment I found out about it, they were like, yeah, it's here. And you also have to get it by today. In the middle, it was also a snowstorm, dude. So I had to schlep to this, like, tow yard, somehow, like, come up with this sum of money, pay them. And then I fought BSU for, like, a month trying to get the money back. They just kept, like, fighting me on it. And eventually I did get it back, but it was such a hassle, dude, for no reason, you know?
When it gets impounded, do you buy it back at the same price from the police department, or do you have to like wait for an auction of some sort?
I have no idea, but I wasn't looking to find out.
GoPro died.
Yeah, whatever. But, dude, the other thing, too, that you reminded me of when you were talking about how you forgot where you parked the car, my dad actually told me this funny story once on how this state trooper, he was a canine officer because my dad worked primarily in canine, and I guess this guy, you know, parked his cruiser with the dog in it, and he just goes inside to this coffee shop, grabs a coffee, donut, whatever, and he comes out and the car's gone, and he's like, oh fuck, like my cruiser's gone, and he radios in, he's like stolen cruiser, like you know, whatever. He gives the location, and they have cops out, like, dude, they're thinking someone stole this cruiser. There's guns in it. The dog's in it. He's like, the dog's gone, everything. Like, they have everything. And they're like, are you sure it's stolen? He's like, yes, like, I left it right here, and it's gone. So, dude, they send a bunch of Sadies down there, all like investigating, looking for it, and they find it. Like the parking lot was this ever so gradual hill, and it was all the way at the bottom of this hill in the woods, dude. He didn't put it in park. He must have like left it in neutral, and the cruiser running rolled down the hill with the dog in it and everything, and just like it didn't crash, but it just like rolled into the woods, like just into the cover of the trees, dude, and they couldn't find it. And this whole time he's like they're thinking worst case scenario. They probably have like helicopters in the sky at this point looking for this thing, when it's just like the stupid mistake of one person.
Wow.
That's mad funny.
And you don't think about that typically being something that happens to a cop, but dude, they're liable for the same shortcomings that all humans are.
Oh, absolutely, dude. We all make mistakes every day, and you just gotta like watch the mistakes you make and just make them less.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
It's been a lot of fun so far.
It has.
man.
We've experienced a couple technical errors. I hope we didn't lose too much because this is a really fun one.
Dude,
Yeah.
whatever we lost, we'll just put in the camera audio.
Sure.
It's going to sound shitty, but...
This is like by and far our largest one, our longest one yet.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, thanks for having me. This was fun. It was cool to like be under a camera, and like I said, we were talking about earlier, like being able to go back and criticize yourself, and I don't know, it's cool. It's a cool opportunity, and like be vulnerable to like other criticisms too. No one wants to be in that position, but like putting yourself there is cool every once in a while.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, even if like you had this huge point during the podcast and it might be totally wrong, I would love to have the opportunity for someone to whatever, like leave a comment or something and just like start that conversation, because it's cool to learn from that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And like conversation is like an art. You like directing it, being like an observer to it, letting it flow like with you guys, you know, it's really cool. It's really cool. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, honestly, dude, like so far we've been having a lot of fun making these podcasts. Like, we're just dipping our feet in the water, and like as you can see, it's a work in progress. Like, we're really learning as we go, but I can't think of anything that I've ever had more fun doing and like falling over completely every time, only to, you know, pick ourselves back up and learn from it. And it never takes away from how much fun we truly have doing it. Like these things are so much fun to make, honestly.
I love it, dude. Dude, we grind for this shit, but I love it. Like, just going back, watching them, like, even just, like, being here and, like, just having a reason to just sit down and just, like, shoot the shit.
Sit down, have a couple beers, shoot the shit, take a smoke break or something, whatever. It's
Dude.
a lot of fun.
And no matter how many mistakes we make, like, the people are, like, they love it, dude. And it's, like, it's so nice because, like, we're, like, you think that it's like, oh shit, like the cameras died and like we like it went black a couple times during the video. Like, you think people would just like tune out, but like people stick with us, they bear with us, and like that's what it's all about, dude.
Dude, I
people
love it.
actually listen.
They do, yeah. And it's super cool to be able to bring like different people on every time. Like, I feel like every episode my mind's just blown with like how cool the guest was, and we've only had 3 guest episodes so far. It's just like a roller coaster, dude, and it's a blast to be on no matter what.
Dude, this shit is just as much like for me and for you, because like we gain so much out of it. And like when you know you have a podcast later, like you want, like you do watch your shit, you're like, oh man, like can't do that, like got a podcast in a bit, like, oh, I'm gonna go for a run, like I got a podcast later. Like it is nice. It's a good
You
like
put this on a resume too.
yeah,
Like
you
the
could.
organization of this, like if I was thinking about like drama or like any figure like that, to like be like, yo, can you be here at 8? We'll start a podcast at 8:30. We'll go for an hour. Like, do you mind doing that? And I'm sure like a lot of adults wouldn't mind doing that, or professors or something like that. Man, that's a cool.
Dude, I can't wait to take it to that field,
Yeah.
to make it like into a little bit more like professional, like intellectual conversation with someone about their field.
Dude, that's cool. Yeah.
Because right now, dude, we've been coming at the people with like the heavy hitter lineup, like right out of the gates. It's like just our boys, like the fun episodes, and like we're gonna dive into the more serious things. But like we've had some serious fun these first 4. I gotta say,
We really have. Honestly, it's such a pleasure. And like, again, Brian, dude, thank you so much for coming on, because you were someone that we really wanted to have on here, and it just
fell into place, dude. Because we were like, who are we gonna have on next? And then you're like, yo, coming home this weekend. It's like Brian episode, dude.
dude,
you
it
guys.
warms our heart to have to have you here, honestly.
Thank you, man.
For real.
That's
Dude,
awesome.
glad you were one of the
Dude.
first ones.
Thank you, dude. Thank you. I'll be back in November as well, like Thanksgiving. I'll be down to do it again then.
Thanksgiving.
Fuck yeah.
Mm.
Keep it up,
Thanksgiving
dude.
episode.
Keep it up, both of you. Keep it up. This is cool.
Hell yeah.
Thank you both so much. And thank you, viewers. If you're still here, you are absolutely a homie. This has been a long run.
Absolutely. Well, I guess that's about it. Thank you all for tuning in. Brian, thank you so
Peace.
much for coming. Brett, peace out.
Drew, been a pleasure, my friend. The three-way handshake. The trifecta. Episode 4 in the books.